Hi, I'm Chloe. I'm an achievement tutor with the Manchester College, and part of our virtual summer industry showcase, we've got a mixology session for you all today with the lovely Jackie. So I'll hand over to her now.
Hello guys, good morning. And for those of you that have done a couple of sessions with me, this sort of leads on really nicely. We'll be sticking with the non-alcoholic side of mixology, but it can be adapted for those of you that are able to drink over the age of 18. What we're going to do today is we're going to make a couple of classics, but what I try to do is make sure that everything that I've done today, you can either buy from the supermarket relatively cheaply, okay, or it's household things that you will be able to have and mix and have a really good play with. So the first thing that, obviously those of you that know me, we need to choose our glassware. So the first cocktail we're going to do is a non-alcoholic Bellini. Okay, and what I want you to think about is the choice of glassware. Now, traditionally, Bellini, you're going to have it in champagne flutes, but I've also got over here some wine glasses, and these are actually recycled plastic ones. So they're really good for the environment. Those of you that know me, I'm really into my sustainability, okay? And they can be used again. They don't have the stem that comes off, so they're really, really sturdy, and again, you know, are a nice substitute. So I'll leave that with you to think about. I'm going to go back to the classics, and I'm going to use my two really nice flutes here. Those of you that have been with me will know one of the first things we do is we are checking our glassware. It's really important that we check that it's nice and clean. We start holding it by its stem, okay? So we're not touching the glass where the guests are going to use them to drink from. That's really, really important. A couple of things that I'm going to show you. I've got here some really nice peach puree, and if you can sort of see that, okay? Now this is just 1 tin of regular peaches with juice. Okay, I took half the juice out and saved it, put the rest in the blender and just blitzed it. You can do it with a potato masher. You can do it with a sieve and push it through with a fork. Okay, so there's lots of ways to do that. And that's just 1 tin. All right, that I would say would make about 12 in total. So plenty of extra fruit there. You can also, a little tip, if you put this fruit into ice cube trays, okay, you can have a really nice peach ice cube that you can drop into other drinks as well. So it's a way of thinking about how we can use things and move our mixology understanding into sort of new areas, from the very basics to a little bit more complex, but also remembering that we need to reuse, okay, any things that we do as cut-offs, any leftover ingredients, how can we use that? You can also freeze this down as a whole and make like a sorbet type puree as well, which is really, really nice. It won't set the same, the ice crystals will be quite big, but again, it's a way to use that, or you could make ice lollies, something like that, okay? Relatively simple. So that's my first ingredient there. The next ingredient we're going to show you is, as you know, the importance of a garnish. Now, what I've chosen here, I hope you can see that, I've chosen flat peaches. So flat peaches for me are really, really lovely because they're easy to cut. They're normally firm, but they're also quite juicy as well. And I quite like that white flesh in there. So they're really easy to cut. And what I've done is I've just cut 2 pieces off. I don't know if you can see that. So I've cut 2 pieces just there, and I've actually taken a slice out of the side where the skin is, just so I can pop that on the glass at the end. You notice I'm using tongs. Obviously, if you're just doing it for family, you can just use your hands. always make sure that in the bar, if you're working in the bar, that you're cleaning your hands constantly, because we come under the same regulations as food hygiene. Okay, so it's really important that you have that. So last but by no means least is my lovely ginger beer. Okay, so I really like, and this is now kind of, I'm not marketing anything, but the more you can get ginger into a product, the better it tastes. Okay, so this one is a ginger beer, Bundaberg. Okay, cost £1 a bottle, so not too expensive. And again, the word, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but there's some really lovely pieces of ginger in here as well. If you don't have that, you could always grate some fresh ginger into the container itself. The other thing that we've got here is, this is a ginger ale. So the beer is brewed very similar, okay? It's about a 3-day process where the fever tree is manufactured ginger ale. So again, it's got botanicals in there. Those of you that have done cocktail making with me will know all about the botanicals that we use, okay, for gins. But again, non-alcoholic, and it's fizzy. So when we open this, if you listen, okay, you can hear that nice fresh fizz. That's really important because this is going to replicate the champagne that would normally go into a blini. Now, what I've done is I've poured, just for the demonstration here, I've used the Bundaberg, it's slightly darker, and you'll see those bits in there. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to add a couple of spoonfuls into the bottom, okay, of the glass. Then we're going to use our spoon, okay, and all we're going to do is we are going to pop our spoon on there, okay. We're going to pour the ginger up to the top of the glass, sparkling ginger ale, beer, sorry, and then we're going to garnish it, okay. Now, depending on how much you like, you can either measure it out, but as you can see, it's quite difficult. You could put it into a container, okay, so like a small squeezy bottle, which sometimes you use in the kitchen for purees. That would be really good, and then you can pour it in there. The other thing that you can use, if you pop it into a bottle, in the mixology sets, you always get a little pourer, so you could put it into a nice bottle, okay, clean bottle, and then just pour it out. What I'm going to do to show you, okay, is I really am just going to make sure that this is nicely into the center. It's all chilled down. We're just going to pop that into that one. And then we're going to do this one as well. So you can see it's lovely. It's really fresh. It tastes nice. It's great for children's parties as well, because obviously there's no alcohol in there. So a little bit more in there. Okay, and depending on how much you like the fruit puree, depends on how much you put in there. I normally say about a third in the glass would be lovely. Okay, so then comes your little bit of a Twizzler. You can just pour it in. Okay, so I'm going to do this one where you just pour it into the glass itself. There we go. Should just give a lovely little fizz. Okay, and you should be able to see that we've still got a little bit there in the glass itself, so we've got this base. And then if we want to add a little bit of flair, what we can do is, those of you that did my class will remember, where we use our little bar spoon, our twizzly bar spoon, okay, multiple task. Perfect. Really one of the only things that we need to have extra in the kitchen, but you can use it again for stirring things as well. Okay, so we're just going to place this on the top, all right, and we're just going to pour it down the stem, keeping it nice and firm, really slowly. See that fizz just building up. You can see that it's layering much better than when I just poured the ginger into it. There we are. Okay. One side. Now remember, when we did some of the other cocktails, we chilled the glass. This doesn't need it because everything's come out of the freezer. But remember, I did say to you, you could freeze down some of the peach. So that might be something that you want to do. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our peach slices, okay? And I like to have it with the peach flesh just on the outside. Might just need a little helping hand here. There we go. So I've just opened that up, and if you can see that, you can see where the cut is down here. So that one is finished like that. And then this one, as you can see, it's mixed. So you make the decision as the cocktail maker whether you want to offer the customer a spoon or yourselves, give it a little stir, and then we can serve it like that. We can also add a really nice piece of peach, just so that we know this is the peach blini, non-alcoholic. So that's your first two. So just to recap over the ingredients, you need a tin of peaches, pureed down either in a machine that you have, or you can use forks, you can use a potato masher, you can put it through a sieve, whichever you prefer. Then we've got a choice. There's loads of ginger beers out there. So if you've got your favourite, then use that. If you're not too sure, I would start off with the ginger ale. Okay, it's a little bit lighter. Okay, but I really like that ginger sensation. So that would be that. Okay, your glassware. Again, as I said, we've got plastic glasses that we can use. Wouldn't suggest you use a jam jar for this. Okay, doesn't really work, and it's a lot. But you could have fun with some other glassware that you've got. Again, you can make this up in a jug if you wanted to as well. So there's lots of options, and maybe put some of that peach puree or some fresh peaches in there. Okay, just to sort of make it a little bit special. All right, so that's your blini done. So we'll pop that over there, just so you can see that. Okay, so the next one that we're going to do is a little twist for summer. Okay, it's a non-alcoholic sangria. Now, those of you that maybe have done some travelling or have got family that maybe watch this back will know there's a sort of really lovely traditional sangria with red wine, lots of oranges, traditionally very Spanish. And I thought we'd look at something a little bit more funky, okay, to do for the summer. So what we're going to do is we're going to build this cocktail. So this is a cranberry, okay, and ginger. Okay, and a little bit of pineapple. Okay, so I've got my ingredients here. So we start off, I've got, again, tinned pineapples readily available. Those of you that want to use fresh pineapple, you can, but, it is just a garnish, so it would be a little bit wasted. So what I've done is I just bought some rings and I've just cut them up into little cubes. So we've got those. I've done the same with my oranges, okay, so just a nice fresh orange, okay, and I've just cut that up into little segments. I've also kept the rind off that and the edges, and I've also got the other piece in there, and I'll show you why later, just to keep that handy. We're going to finish this one off with some cranberries. Sorry, not cranberries, pomegranate. And so we've got two ways that we can buy pomegranates. We've got them in the ready-made, okay, like those, beautiful, really easy to use. Or if you prefer to have a bit of fun, Okay, we can take a whole pomegranate. They're about the same price. Okay, so it just depends what you prefer to use. When you are using these, make sure that you're using a chopping board, and maybe if they've been in the fridge, they get a little bit damp. Okay, and a little bit of water residue on the side. So give them a wipe down first. Make sure you've got a nice firm grip of them before you start cutting into them. Or put a small cloth or some kitchen roll on top of your chopping board before you do that. So that's your pomegranate. Then a little bit of luxury. Okay, you can either use kiwi fruit. Okay, but sometimes they're a little bit bitter and not everybody likes them, but they do look really pretty. Or you can kind of go for the lovely passion fruit. Now, what I've done here is I went to the supermarket and I did a little bit of a scout round, and these were 3 passion fruits for £1. So I thought that was really good, and that's just from our local supermarket. So again, that was quite good purchase, plenty of, really good ripe fruit. And how you know that the passion fruit is ripe, and I hope this picks it up on the video, but what you can hear the sound, okay, sounds like cutting cardboard. You know then that the passion fruit is ripe. So if we just give that little squeak, okay, and then what we've got is a really nice, fresh, with lots of seed in that and lots of flavour. Smells good. Okay, so we've got our passion fruit. Now we've got to decide again on our glassware, really important. So what I'm going to make you will make 4. So I've chosen 4 different types of glassware because I thought you probably all have this kind of in at home. So I've got a traditional jam jar, I've got a normal pint pot, okay, I've got a large red wine glass, and I've also got it's a gin glass actually, but I thought that was a nice sort of bowl to have the fruit in. There's 2 ways to make this. You can make it in the glasses, okay, but for this, I'm actually going to make it in a jug for you, because I think visually it'll look really nice, and you'll see how we're building and mixing as we go along. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our bar spoon, and we're just going to add a couple of the ingredients first. So we're going to put in some of the pineapple. Now, pineapple is a really, really strong flavour. Okay, it can be overpowering, so go easy on it. Once you can always add some more pineapple to your drink if you really like your pineapple. However, if you're not so keen on it, it will be sort of quite overpowering. So you can make that decision on what you want to do. So that's our oranges in there. You'll see I've saved a little bit because I just want to show you, okay, the base of that. So there we go. So that's sort of our base started. Now we come over, we're going to put some ice in this. Again, when you're using ice cubes straight out of the freezer, as you can see, sorry, you'll just need to just bash them around a little bit. Now we can just place these in right up halfway through, because we really, really want the whole effect on there. Bag of ice, about 50p, or you can just make lots of cubes. And I've got another little trick to show you as well, if you haven't got any ice to have and you want to make something like this. Okay, we'll just pop that in there. We'll add a little bit more in a while. So the next thing that we're going to add is we're going to add our ginger. So our leftover ginger, so we used about 500 mils for that. So I've got about 200 mils in here, and then I can open another bottle and top that up. Okay, I could use my ginger ale, this bottle. So again, it's quite economical. What I've tried to do is use a bottle of everything for each drink, if you like. So just going to pour our lovely ginger in there. And then I've got some cranberry juice. The cranberry juice itself comes in a couple of different types. You've got the light one, which has no sugar in it or very little sugar. And then you've got the original, which has got sugar in it. Okay, natural fructose is really, really good. But it just depends on your sweet taste. It's got that sort of dry, and this is where the colour comes from. So this is a really lovely pale, sort of pinky red colour. Then we're going to gently just add in our pieces of passion fruit into there. So give this a little stir. Okay, just to see, can you see how the pineapple sinks to the bottom? And that's just, obviously, we go back to densities, weight. The passion fruit sits on the top, which is great. You can just see that. Okay, it's just sitting on the top. I'm just going to add the rest of the orange into this now. If you've got any allergies or anybody in the family doesn't like certain things, you can mix this up. You can make a red fruit one. What I'm going to tell you now is that if you haven't got any ice cubes, you can use frozen fruit. That will compensate for the lack of ice if you don't have it. The other thing I'm going to show you in a minute is a little trick that I learned out in Australia and something that they do just because of the heat out there. So we've got our lovely mixture. I'm just going to move this over to the side so that can be stood. That will be quite happy for an hour, okay? Or you can make it up, ready, put it in the fridge. And then what we're going to do is we're going to choose some mint, okay, just to decorate it. It's quite nice to have a little few sprigs of mint on there. We can always prep these. Again, it's about £1 for mint, or you can buy a mint plant, even better. And then what you can do with that is plant it out. Okay, it will sit on your windowsill or in a cool area really nicely, and then you'll always have fresh mint. If you do put it in the garden, it goes a bit mad though. All right, so some of this is out of the garden and some of it from a supermarket. So bar spoon again, and we're just going to, this is where it kind of, you're mixing it, but you don't want to bash it around. Those of you that made mojitos with me will remember that we have to be really sensitive with the mint leaves because we don't want it to bruise. So you can see that starting to blend in quite nicely. If you wanted to, you could put any other things in it. So we could put the leftover peach in it. Okay. We could even put a spoonful of the peach puree in as well. But again, this is just sort of as I'm doing it. What I want to do now is we're going to load it, and I'm going to choose this glass. Okay. Just because I think it's nice and kind of big, and it will show off what I want to do, and then I'll put the other ones on as well. If you've got any juice or syrups left over, we can always have that, and we're going to just taste this. Okay, so straw in, finger on the top. So we're just checking to make sure it's balanced, it's a little bit dry, we've got some ginger overtones, but not too much. What I'm actually going to do now is I'm just going to balance it, and I'm just going to squirt a little bit of orange, fresh orange, the leftover orange juice just on the top to add some of the oils out of the orange, just going round really nicely. I'm not getting any of the pips in there, so all of it can be eaten, drank. We can eat the fruit as well. Pop that back over there. Now I'm going to get my lovely jewels. So few of my lovely fresh pomegranates in there to make it into your pomegranate drink. And then we get our bar spoon again, and what we're going to do is we're just going to pour some of the lovely liquid in there. You see that? And then we're going to spoon a nice share of all the fruit into the glass itself, and again right down to the bottom to get that pineapple out. So that's your drink, and we're just going to finish it. A couple of more ice cubes in there, just to make sure that we've got it nicely chilled as well. And you also need less liquid for your drink. So again, you can bulk it out with more ice and keep adding that, or again go back with your frozen purees and pop those in as well. So that's your drink done. What I'm going to do now is I am just going to garnish this with a little sprig of mint, which is just on there, and a few more jewels of the lovely pomegranate. Okay, you'll see that just sits on there nicely. Then what you can do is we can decide on a straw, always sustainable, so take your own straws if you can. You always get now, which is really good, in straws that you buy that are sustainable, you always get these cleaners as well, which are great for afterwards. So you can give them a really good clean and have them as yours. Or you can buy paper ones, again, great because we can cut them and use them again. If we wanted to, we can place those in there like that. I quite like a long straw, so I'm going to go for this one here, okay, because I think it's quite, it says something, it's quite a statement, right? It's nice. I don't know if you can see that on the top there, it's a little bit difficult to see. So what I'm just going to do very quickly is I'm going to just move the camera in, and you can see all that lovely fruit on the top there, okay. So again, just something very simple for you to do out of all the ingredients that you've got. You can make this up with lots of different type of fruits as well. You don't just have to use cranberries and pomegranates. You can use whatever you have. Soft fruits are really, really abundant if you get a chance. You know, maybe go and do some strawberry picking. There's an abundance of fruit in the UK at the minute. So again, just have a look for your bargains. If you're in the centre of somewhere and you have a really good market, go and buy some fresh fruit. If not, pop to the supermarket. Frozen will be fine as well. You just need to think about your garnishes. So just a couple of tips for you now. So in Australia, because it gets really hot, they have ice pops, same as we do in the UK. And what they do in the bars is they will open one of these and pop it inside so it keeps your drink cool. It's a bit funky as well. And it's just something a little bit with a twist. So again, if you're making this for children, this is a really good idea. Or you could make your own frozen lollipops and pop one of those in for the children to stir around, or yourselves. Okay, that's something else. The other thing that I wanted to mention just in this is alternatives. So for example, if you don't have any tinned peaches, or you know you don't have the right ingredients, there's other alternatives. So a lot of people are using these sort of little puree pouches. Now they're fine, but what you have to remember is they're not sweetened, so you may have to balance that with whatever product you're putting into, say, your blini, or if you wanted to make these into ice cubes, they're quite fun and funky to do that, and they're relatively cheap. So again, and they've got an ambient shelf life, so you don't need to put them in the fridge. They can be in your cupboard and then just pop them in the fridge or the freezer, and then you could cut them open if you wanted to put the whole thing in. And it would be really nice then if you took your sangria and you popped a frozen pouch of this in it, open it up, peel it back, and drop the frozen fruit in that. It would just blend in as well. There are lots of ways to sort of adapt things, and you know, it's really important for me when I'm talking to you guys that you understand that it doesn't have to be expensive. It can just be as creative, but you need to know your basics. So today we focused on blending, we focused on building and mixing and using some really basic ingredients. Those of you that have done the sessions with me before, we've done layering, we've done shaking as well. So again, you're just building up your repertoire of your understanding, just like you would do within your cookery. Okay, thanks very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed today. Cheers.